So I last night saw Spider-Man Brand New Day, and I honestly think that it's probably bottom 3 Spider-Man movies. This movie was greatly disappointing, to me at least, for so many different reasons. The phrase that kept being played through my head throughout this entire movie was, "I'm too old for this." Like, I'm only 20 years old, but I'm too old for this. Like, I've the first movie came out when I was like 10 years old, and I saw No Way Home when I was like 15. I waited 5 years to see that cliffhanger pay off, only for this movie to then end in another cliffhanger of the same plot. I don't have time for this. Who knows what I'm going to be doing when the next Spider-Man MCU movie comes out. It's clearly going to be 4 or 5 years from now. Am I going to care that Ned might remember Peter, which, by the way, I don't think is the case. I think that he now knows that there's a Peter Parker and he is Spider-Man, but I don't think he remembers the history. So now he is back on that stage with both MJ and Ned. So it gets us kind of back to square one, but doesn't actually give us the meat and bones of that relationship. And he has to start over, which I don't hate that, but they're dragging it out too long. You might as well just make this a Spider-Man show at this point. I don't have 20 years to dedicate to figure out if this kid's gonna get his friend and his girl. 20 years, so much can happen. Do you think that someone who started the Spider-Man MCU movies at 10 years old, like I did, is gonna have the same friends in his life in 2035, whenever this concludes? I really doubt it. Time changes, and I feel like they're gonna end up telling the story of him doing all of this throughout 6 movies, only to realize this isn't for me, and that's not gonna be a satisfying conclusion. I don't think anything is gonna be a satisfying conclusion if you keep us waiting 5 years to find out if this kid's still gonna have his friends. But that doesn't even really get into the biggest problem of the movie. The biggest problem I have with the movie, outside of the pacing, I guess, which was super messy and rushed, and clearly a lot was cut here. Um, I'd say the worst part of the movie is the conflict resolution. When Jean Grey jumps into Peter Parker's mind, finally, she's been trying to do it the whole movie. She finally does it, and oh my God, his mind is caught in an inspirational talk with Aunt May. Are we serious? Is that the best you could think of? To that, there's so much going on here. By the way, more than Spider-Man 3. So anyone who has a problem with that movie for, oh, this movie juggles too much, I can't wait to hear what you think of this, because you can say, oh, it all ties nicely together. I'm going to explain all the different plot points in here, because hopefully if you've gotten to this point, you've already seen the movie and not worried about spoilers. So, all the different plot points. Spider-Man is mutating. The conflict resolution for this is he just accepts it. He throws the chip on the ground after he's been working on it the whole movie and he ends up giving it to Damage Control. So that'll set up for X-Men. This entire movie, basically just a commercial for the MCU X-Men. And my main takeaway from a Spider-Man movie should not be that Kevin Feige does not trust the X-Men to do well at the box office. That it doesn't work. I don't feel like Spider-Man got much character development, if at all. Because you can say, oh, this was a character drama. Yeah. So, like I said, he starts off mutating and just says, oh, forget it. I am the way I am. Whatever. Um, Obviously, the big thing here is that he is trying to get back Ned and MJ, which is the most compelling part of the movie. I will say the two best scenes here are when she finds out and when MJ is posing, or Jean is posing as MJ. That was good. But then you have the third plot, which is Jean is doing all this telekinesis, hopping from body to body, causing a bunch of chaos. And it consumes so much of the movie, probably more so than any villain plot has ever done in a Spider-Man movie, because I feel like in the Raimi movies, whatever's happening with the villain, and then we get to what is happening in Peter Parker's life. Peter Parker's life is consumed in this movie by what is happening with Jean Grey. And the reveal that this is Jean Grey is kind of underwhelming. But adding on to the different things we have going on here, he's navigating losing Aunt May, which is, they tie that up nicely with him giving flowers. And then there's also Hulk, which ties in with the mutating stuff and somehow ends up with Jean Grey. With clearly there were scenes cut because he just kind of spawns in out of nowhere working with Jean, and I feel like they definitely had something there that they cut. They clearly cut a lot here. Like, I'm continuously saying that because it's the case. It was a mess. And it wasn't a terrible movie. Like, I've seen worse. I'd say it's probably better than both of the Andrew Garfield movies, but I feel like those are also still more contained to Spider-Man. Like, those are better Spider-Man movies. This is a better movie. But this might be the worst Spider-Man movie. He goes through nothing in this movie. In the first Raimi movie, he loses Uncle Ben. In the second Raimi movie, he's struggling with his identity as Spider-Man, which I guess they kind of reuse in this, but it never really gets to a point where you actually think maybe he's thinking of giving up being Spider-Man. The third one, he loses his best friend. Andrew Garfield movies, he loses Uncle Ben again, and then the second one, he loses Gwen Stacy. Homecoming, I feel like that being low stakes was okay because you're starting off, you're just like your entry-level Spider-Man, that works. Far From Home, he's dealing with the death of Tony Stark. No Way Home, he loses Aunt May. Nothing significant happens to him here besides grappling with the memory thing. There is no real tragic event here for Peter Parker, I don't think. The most tragic event is MJ telling him that she doesn't love him, which you gotta feel that that's a Spider-Man thing, that he just gets back to it. I don't think that really, even with it being the best scene in the movie, I don't think that serves its purpose as like the thing that gets him. And it really isn't the thing that gets him. The thing that gets him is seeing him or her kiss another dude. But I feel like they could have had, the way they paced it just didn't make sense. Because immediately after she tells him this, they hang out with Ned, so he doesn't really have time to feel any type of way about it. I don't know. I feel like they threw so much at the wall here, just trying to see what sticks. A lot of it didn't stick. Scorpion was in it for a minute. Tombstone had one scene. I didn't see Bullseye. I'm pretty sure he was in the marketing. I didn't see him. I think Tarantula was in the marketing. I didn't see him. The Hand was you'd think they'd be a lot more significant in the movie than they were. I'd expect Daredevil to show up. There's good stuff though. Punisher and Spidey, everything that happens with them is great. The Hulk fight scene, there's good stuff, but overall it's very messy. I'm gonna have to take some time to sit on it, and I really don't think it does much for Peter Parker's character. I think he's kind of just swimming in quicksand right now until he gets the symbiote. And that's what this movie felt like. It felt like they don't have any significant plot stuff for him at the moment, which, how are you not going to have any significant plot stuff for Spider-Man? Jean, obviously, is one of Marvel's top dogs. Bring her in a big way. Bring her in this movie, sure. Don't bring her in as the villain when we've yet to see Sandman get his own solo movie as the villain. We've yet to see Spider-Man versus Venom as a solo movie. Kraven, Rhino obviously isn't the most layered villain, but you could do stuff with him. Like, there's so much they're just tossing to the side for brand synergy. And speaking of brand synergy, the ad placements in this movie are terrible. This movie was brought to you by Takis and Little Caesars. It was insane. You got to get the money, though. I got to respect it. I heard they got paid like $400 million for all those ad placements, so good on them. Moral of the story, though, I'm going to have to rewatch the movie. I'm going to have to really assess how I feel about it, but this is definitely mid. I definitely said during the movie, like, that this sucks. I'm not feeling it. But then they dragged me in towards the end when Spider-Man got shot by Punisher, so there's good and bad. But I feel that the best cut of this movie is somewhere on the cutting room floor. Like, they have so much footage that they clearly didn't use for her, and a different edit would have paid off, in my opinion. That's at least the way I'm feeling. Oh boy, I had a backdrop. Now we're just on Roku City, so amateur hour. But I hope you guys appreciated my thoughts. I'm sure I'm gonna get a lot of shit if anyone even watches this video, because everyone loves Spider-Man, obviously, and so do I. I mean, look, but I gotta call it how I see it. And Brand New Day was not a movie I walked out feeling like, oh man, I can't wait to see what's next. The way I did in a Fantastic Four, a Deadpool, Thunderbolts. I'd say this is around even with Thunderbolts, and I wasn't huge on that movie, but it feels like MCU is a real villain problem right now. They can't commit to someone being really evil, so everyone's just trying to get retribution for dead family, which, you know, it's relatable. Everyone has dead family, but I don't know. It's rehashed. I'm beginning to see why these movies are like the laughing stock of cinema entirely. I don't have too much more to say on the movie. I'm definitely going to rewatch it and see how I feel about it after that. But my first watch thoughts were nowhere near as good as No Way Home or any of the recent movies I named. But I appreciate you guys. Let me know how you thought of the movies in the comment below. Did you like it? Am I being too harsh? I might be. I take this very seriously. I'm a Spider-Man guy, but let me know what you think. I appreciate you guys checking in. Leduc. Skadoosh.